So in this video, I want to go over promise chaining, and this is used if you have a sequence of asynchronous tasks that you need to complete, or if you have a promise that returns a value that you need to use in another promise. So I have just a basic example here. We have a new promise, we're mimicking an error with this Boolean value, and then we're resolving just a user object with a name and age. Down here, we're handling the promise with a dot then, passing in the user, because that's what is getting resolved here, and then logging the user. That's what we see over here. If there's an error, we're catching that error, and we're going to console log that error. Now, let's say that I go ahead and return from this dot then, I'm going to return user. All right, actually, no, I'm going to return user.name. So just the name property of this user object. So whatever I return from this dot then, I can actually access in another dot then. So I'm going to add on to this. Actually, I'll go on to the next line and say dot then, pass in a function. Now, in this case, I'm going to pass in name. And then I'm going to just console log here, name. So if we save that and let this run, you'll see that I get the user object because we're logging it here from this first dot then. But then what I'm doing is returning the user name, and that's going into this next, into this chain dot then. And then I'm console logging the name, which I get John. All right, so we can do this as many times as we want. Let's say we want to get the user's name length property. So I could return here, let's say return name dot length. And then what I'll do is add on another dot then. And in here, let's say, we'll say name length, because that's what we're getting. And then we'll have our function here, and we'll console log name length. Let's save that. So we get the object first, because we're console logging. Then we're console logging the name, because we return the username. We're passing it in here. From here, we return the length of the name, so we're passing it into this dot then, and then we're logging that name length. Okay, so you can chain as many dot thens as you want. And this is great when you have multiple asynchronous operations. And you can probably already see how this is going to fix callback hell, which I'm going to show you in the next video. Now, if I change this error flag to true and save, what we get is the error something went wrong. So since we rejected here, none of these dot thens that are before the dot catch are going to run. It's going to automatically run the catch. Now, if I put another dot then under here, we'll have to get rid of this semicolon and put it here. So if I do this, and we'll just say console.log and say this will run no matter what. If I save that, we're going to see our error, and then we're going to see the console log of this dot then. Since it's after the catch, it's still going to run. Okay, this catch basically pertains to the dot thens before it. Now, I can even return something from the catch. So if I go ahead and, is that right? Yeah. So I'm going to return here, let's just say return 1, 2, 3. And then down here in the next dot then, I'll just call it X, and I'll go ahead and log X. So we'll save, and now you can see it's logging 1, 2, 3. So whatever I return from this catch is going to go into this dot then. So this is an unlikely scenario or something that's not very common, but I want you to know how the mechanics of all this works. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how this is useful for addressing callback hell.